Hey there, everybody. We are going live. I just want to do a little bit of a post-election analysis. I was on AM 560 this morning doing the same. And in fact, I did put a link to that interview in my personal Facebook post. I think we will also get it up on Breakthrough very soon. But I mean, it's really important to take a deep breath here and find out what happened. If you're a conservative, if you're a Republican, guess what? It was a complete and utter wipeout, especially in the suburbs, especially in the Cook County suburbs, where we actually did have some contested elections between Republicans and Democrats. Democrats, they basically cleaned house. The entire Milton Township was once Republican. It is now Democrat. York Township lost control by the Republicans. Republicans lost control of Downers Grove Township, of Winfield Township. They already had lost control of Naperville Township. So a complete wipeout when it comes to the suburbs here. Wheeling Township lost Republican control. So yeah, it was not a good day. Good candidates that had run repetitively, like Michelle Hunter in Arlington Heights, she did not make it on as a city council trustee after running for election as a state rep. And so that's a little bit disappointing. In fact, it's very disappointing. You just do have to wonder what happened. Let's see, Northfield Township, they lost Republican control. Schaumburg Township lost Republican control. Essentially a complete wipeout when it came to city council races. When you think about the Naperville city council race, we lost a really, really solid, good conservative voice in Jennifer Bruzon Taylor. She lost her election. And in fact, the Democrats who were elected, and by the way, these are quote unquote nonpartisan races. However, we know that everybody tends to check out, especially on the Democrat side. They tend to find their kin folk, and they definitely show up for their kin folk. But you saw Benny White come back and be the top vote getter in the Naperville City Council race. By the way, Benny is my West Point classmate from 1987. But he lost that mayor race 2 year ago. He was the top vote getter this time on city council. I guess people just simply forgot that he scammed on his property taxes, living in nearly $1 million home and paying no property taxes, taking a 70% plus veterans disability benefit when he's obviously not physically disabled. So I guess that scam, it doesn't matter to people anymore. They just have short memories. They didn't remember that. Same thing with Ian Holzhauer. He's one of those as well that was getting a property tax exemption of 100% for having served as a JAG officer, I think, in the Air Force. But didn't matter. People wanted him back on. So unmistakably, the Democrats showed up. That's what happened. The union showed up, for example. When it comes to the Milton Township Highway Commissioner race, in that case, you had a business agent, Union 150 business agent, running against our long-term Highway Commissioner, Gary Mufeld. Gary Mufeld actually operates the equipment. He doesn't just manage from behind a desk. He actually gets out there on all the equipment and removes snow and picks up debris. And he's qualified to run the equipment as well. Now, this new guy, who knows, he'll probably end up behind a desk, and he may even try to unionize the workforce there. That's not happened in the townships before. The minute you get a unionized workforce in place, your taxes will accelerate. Back to Milton Township, too, I think it's a really good example of what happens when you can grow government. A lot of folks are out there just simply voting because, guess what? I care about mental health. I care about education. And so for me to prove that I care about mental health and I care about education, I need to vote for higher taxes. I need to vote for boards that want to support that type of thing. Well, at the Milton Township level, of course, in 2021, they put in a mental health board, a 708 board. These have become very, very popular referendum to have. 2021, they put it in. 2023 was their first year that they actually levied taxes. And when they levied taxes for the mental health board for Milton Township, it was a levy of almost $900,000. And that one tax is 41% of the cost of all of the other Milton Township services. So your assessor, the clerk's office, the general assistant's office, the supervisor's expenses, all of that. And they've got this mental health board that for the first year of taxing, 41% of the cost of all the other services that you've had. So this is how they grow government. But apparently when you say mental health, people will pay anything. However, the mental health is being provided. There's no facility involved with it. There's no actual people involved with it. It's simply a pass-through tax. So what did the Mental Health Board do in Milton? They gave $100,000 to the DuPage County Health Department. They gave $45,000 to the city of Wheaton for police mental health. The city of Wheaton can afford their own mental health for their own police officers. Trust me, I know. I used to be on city council there. They gave $41,000 to the YMCA and a number of other nonprofits. So this is all BS. This is all so bogus. And yet this is what people voted for. They voted for boards, Democrat boards, that are going to accelerate those mental health board expenditures. They can take up to 0.15% as a tax rate for them alone. And they actually don't even need to be part of a tax cap. So they're not capped for a PTEL purposes. So go ahead. I guess people like more government. That's how I read this. They want more government. They're okay with the Democrats, and the Democrats know, even if you're technically a Republican, they know if you're on their side or not. And that's what happened in a lot of these school board races. So are we having problems there, ladies, or no? No, everything good? Okay, sorry, looking at my staff here, and I'm wondering what the hell. Okay, so I will say this, though. We did have a bright spot, and that was in the Mantino race. They were very clear message about what they were doing. They had a specific issue that they could go after because, obviously the Goshen plant is there, and Goshen was put in place by the former mayor who sat on a economic development commission and signed a non-disclosure saying that he couldn't say what was going on with the Goshen development. And sure enough, he put in this massive Goshen plant that people are up in arms about. There's a lawsuit over that as well. And those people organized. The No Goshen Illinois folks got organized. They found their candidates. They went out there and they did a great job. And they won 4 out of 5 seats that were open on that city level. So really, really proud of their effort. But it's easy. It's important to know when you can galvanize a community around an issue and you go after it and you have clear messaging, and then you can win. And that's exactly what happened. They won. So perhaps part of the problem is that the messaging was not clear. The issues were not well defined. There wasn't something that stood out as either an economic issue that mattered to the populace, or perhaps a school issue that galvanized the public to vote a different way. That didn't happen. Now, we thought that would have happened with the COVID issues and the maskings and the Zoom school and all of that. We thought that we would see that in 2021. We didn't see it then either. So the other part of this issue, other than just not having clear messaging, is the fact that you have a lot of unions that are working diligently to get their members on these boards, because the contracts come from these boards, whether it's school buildings, whether it's consultancy fees, whether it's road building. All of that stuff happens through a union structure. The unions have an easy way to reach their people, and the Democrats are definitely favored by the union membership. So they sent out one email to one teacher, and behind every teacher are 5 other people supporting her: a sibling, a spouse, a parent, whoever else, a friend, a neighbor. So they have a built-in way to get their message out, and that obviously happened. So apparently people like their government. They like lots of government. They like more spending. However, another bright spot, the Kane County sales tax referendum failed. That is very good news, and it failed by a very large percentage. It was like over 70% of people voted that extra sales tax down. And that was because it was very obvious when you read that that proposition that it was going to be a tax increase, and it was clearly defined. And they did a great job. King County Warrior Group, Chris Lausen, who put out clear messaging about why this was not needed, how much it would cost people, and how costly it would be. His clear messaging, one person's clear messaging, Chris Lausen, picked up by enough people, defeated that sales tax. I give lots of credit to Chris Lausen for that. We put out a video as well with our radio interview. Hopefully that helps somewhat to raise awareness about it. So that was another thing. Also, the Winfield voters did vote for constitutional pension reform. They said, yes, we want constitutional pension reform. It was just a ballot question. It doesn't hold any weight other than it's basically a poll question. But they did say, yeah, we want current pensioners to be protected, but we do want constitutional pension reform. So I guess that's another bright spot. Very small, though, compared to the control. So, for example, in the District 200 races, they voted for the same sort of board members that, it's been groupthink there for decades. They voted for all of them. And, that's a school board that controls over $200 million in an annual budget. And now we'll have control over $151 million building project. And they just voted for people who have just been a rubber stamp for the superintendent. So that doesn't bode very well. So these are the issues. And I don't think if they're not super clear, defined, people get confused. And Republicans just didn't show up. Sorry, you didn't show up. Do you think there was a I hate Trump element to the Dems coming out to vote? Sure. There was probably an I hate Trump and Musk element to that. And so they showed up. But it doesn't matter. Republicans didn't show up. Okay. Republicans didn't show up. Conservative independents didn't show up. They didn't show up. 20% turnout. 2,500 more votes. You could have, kept Milton Township Republican. That would have made a difference. Same thing, school board races. You get 2,000 more votes out there. The votes are there. When only 20% show up, guess who wins? The people who show up. That's the bottom line. I've been asked, are there enough Republicans still around in DuPage County? Yeah, actually there are. There are. In 2022, it was tight. Pritzker got 190,000 votes in DuPage County. In 2024, Trump got 191,000 votes. It's super tight here. I'm not going to lie to you. There's a lot of Democrats here who like a lot of government and they love high property taxes. If you vote for a Democrat, you love high property taxes. If you're a Democrat and you voted, you love high property taxes because that's what this was about. 95% of your property tax bill, control of 95% of your property tax bill was on the ballot. And you voted for people who are not going to do a damn thing to ameliorate that issue. Nothing. So Republicans didn't show up. They were on spring break. Doesn't matter. Hey, I voted for Trump. That's enough. Sorry. It's not. So that's my quickie analysis about what's going on. Not enough people knew what was at stake. And so they just gave it a pass. Thanks for joining me on this short Facebook Live.